Hello viewers, this is Paladin of Odin, and this is some more Magic the Gathering Online. This is another episode of the Standard Commentary Series. Okay, we've got a Scales deck, and he rolled out pretty damn well from the start. So it looks like he played Servant of the Scale first. Scales on turn 2, because this is only a 1-1. And it looks like we've got Sultai colors at the very least. Abzan Falconer. And Silumgar Scorn. Clash of Wills. I have to say, I am surprised. I haven't seen people play with these in Hardened Scales decks. Basically the 1/1 counter lords. And a second Abzan Falconer. No counter this time. Siege Rhino. Alright, so we've got a 4-color deck. We'll have to wait and see, but I'm probably going to have a hard time figuring out a name for this deck. Alright, Hangerback Walker. Valorous Stance on the Rhino. But he's pretty much out of gas at this point. And his board isn't that good. The Spies. Target opponent reveals his or her hand. Choose a creature or planeswalker. All he has is Dromoka's Command. Which, is a damn fine card. It's just, it's not going to have much of a use. Alright, Walker's up to a 4/4. Yeah, I was going to say, you might as well outlast the Falconer. Because you need some more muscle. So, he's in an interesting position because a board clear would... Silumgar. That is a very good answer. A 3/7 flying hexproof is a really tough creature to break through. But if the Scales guy wants to sit back and buff the Walker and the Falconer, let's see, a next buff would put the Falconer at a 6/7 and the Walker would be a 6/6. he'd need to do it twice. But he can attack, and one of his creatures could die if he blocked that way. But the 4 power creatures aren't going to die. But you really do need to block. Your guy has hexproof, so you don't have to worry about him getting Valorous Stance or any of the other kill cards in white. But he did kill the Servant of the Scale, which buffed the Walker up to a 6/6. Avatar of the Resolute. He's a 6/5 reach trample with flying. Still can't break through Silumgar though. Unfortunately, he's at 7 life. He needs to... He almost has to double board clear to win this game. Or Crux of Fate. Destroy all non-dragon creatures. You get all the 1/1s in play. Silumgar attacks. Okay, Siege Rhino. Doesn't really help you all that much. If he blocks a 6 power, he's gonna take 10. Yeah. He has to have a card in hand to deal with one of those creatures, or he's dead. Are you seeing what I'm seeing? It took him a bit, but apparently he did. So, Sandstep Citadel, Blossoming Sands, Dismal Backwater, not Blackwater. Hangerback Walker. Evolving Wilds. Pretty slow second game so far. Honored Hierarch. Buffs the Walker. I have to admit, I am surprised that he did it on his turn. I mean, it might not have made a difference. And it probably... yeah. It wouldn't have made any difference, but typically you see effects that you're going to do anyway. You wait until the end of their turn, just in case. Thanagorger Hydra. Okay. No scales this time, though. But we didn't really see direct kill from the... What are we gonna call this guy? Dragonlord Ojutai. Trying to think. Because he's running 4 colors. He's running everything but red. And my mind is trying to think, hey, what about combining 2 of the tribe names? But I think that probably wouldn't work all that well. Throws down the avatar. I'm guessing he's just trying to be aggressive. And right here, he's got to be wondering, should I or shouldn't I attack with Ojutai? He ends up attacking, but, when you're thinking about it, it's like, he's just gonna... Oh, Avatar. I was thinking he's just gonna block with a Thopter, but forgot about the reach on the Avatar. So that forces his hand because he doesn't want to lose the Dragon Lord. Abzan Charm. And that's the interesting thing about that particular situation is you could have used 2 different modes of Abzan Charm to win this situation. Valorous Stance. And Negate. Managorger Hydra is getting big. But like I was saying about the Abzan Charm, the optimal play was to put 2 counters on Dragonlord so the Dragonlord will eat the Avatar. The other way you could have done it was to exile the Avatar. But now he has a 7/7 Flying Hydra. So now a bit of trouble with the Hydra. If he had another Abzan Charm, it'd be just as it would be really easy. Just boom, exile it. It doesn't matter if it gets another +1 counter. It's just gonna chump with a Thopter. Alright, so an 8/8. Bumps that up. That thing really needs to die. Abzan Charm. I was just talking about using that on him. But something I was thinking about, one of the big reasons why that guy had to die right there was because he's running green, it is really, really easy to buff him to lethal, since 8, an 8 power versus your 11 life, 3 more damage is not hard to get out of a green deck. Swinging in with the Dragon Lord again. Killing off the Servant to buff the other Abzan Falconer. But the good news for the Dragon player is that his opponent is top decking. Hero's Downfall to kill one. Two cards, 8 life. He could be in a worse situation. And another chump. Yeah, at the moment, it's much more important to keep the Dragon Lord from giving him the Brainstorm effect. So Morph. He's running 3 colors, so there are a lot of options that he could be running for Morph. But highest percentage possibility is Den Protector. Honored Hierarch. Not very helpful right now. That was something he wanted to see in like the first 3 turns. Down to 5. End of turn, flip the Den Protector, and he conceded. I could understand why he conceded. His opponent, the Dragon deck, was pretty well constructed for those 4 colors, and you gotta know that he's got draw in his deck somewhere, so he's going to fill up his tank again. So it's just easier to concede right there. Get into game 3. But back to the dilemma for me, the creator, I guess, since that's what YouTube calls us. What do I call this deck? I could call it Dragon Control, because it's clearly a control deck and it has dragons. Which I think I might just have to call it that. So for now, we will call it that. Make it easier. The Dragon Control deck versus the Hardened Scales deck. Now the Scales deck got really lucky. He got his Scales out on turn 1. It's a very powerful play for his deck, and it doesn't come up as often as they would like. But then again, 4 cards in a 60 card deck, 1 in 15 chance at any point, really. Abzan Falconer. But this is the way he wants to roll. Wants to be able to get the scales out early so that every creature that he plays from now on gets the bonus. You know, if there were no scales, I mean, we've seen it. You know, his creatures can be quite threatening without scales, but with scales, they're even better. It's even harder to deal with them. Managorger Hydra in particular is ridiculously hard to deal with outside of direct kill spells when you have hardened scales out. So he outlasts the Falconer, which is understandable. Beef that guy up. Especially since with scales, you know, he could have attacked for 2 with that guy. And this way, he's attacking for 4 on his next turn, which is the same as him attacking with that guy twice without the buff. So Duress, let's see, Blossoming the Sands, Managorger Hydra, Windswept Heath. So nothing that Duress can touch. Abzan Charm on the Falconer, which is the threat right now. But I'm guessing we're going to see Hydra right now. I'm surprised he didn't play Hydra. He could have played Hydra and then played the Honored Hierarch. And then anything that the Dragon Control deck played would have made the Hydra a 5/5. Okay, Morph. Again, probably a Den Protector. You're down to 2 cards. Why are you holding back on the Hydra? I mean, sure, his deck is a control deck, but not playing something is the same as you playing something and him countering it. He gets Abzan Charm back. And he blocks. Avatar of the Resolute. Abzan Charm. Takes out the Avatar. That was a tricky choice to make, if you think about it, because it's 5 damage now if you take out the Hierarch with that. But then the Hierarch doesn't become a 6/6. but at the same time, the math works out to be that they're both 10 damage in the next 2 turns. So Ugin, the Spirit Dragon, and wow, he immediately conceded. Each permanent with converted mana cost X or less. Okay. Yeah. Now that's another concession where it's completely understandable. One counter off of Ugin, goodbye Hierarch, goodbye Hardened Scales, and then he still has the counters on it left to deal with the Managorger Hydra sitting in exile in his hand. Well, I really shouldn't call it exile since that's a game term, but like sitting imprisoned in his hand. But, well, it was a dragon-themed deck. It was a control deck, so that was Dragon Control versus Hardened Scales. And if you liked what you saw, hit that like and subscribe button for me, and I'll see you in the next video.